I had been seeing the same man in my dreams since I was 8 years old. For most of my life, I believed he was just a nightmare. Children invent strange faces when they sleep. The brain collects fragments of people, shadows from television, expressions from strangers, and rearranges them into something unfamiliar. That's what I told myself. That's what I believed. But the strange thing about nightmares is that they fade as you grow older. Faces change, memories blur, fear becomes ordinary. This man never changed, not once. And that was the first thing that made him terrifying. The first time I saw him, I was standing in the hallway outside my childhood bedroom. It was a dream, but the house looked exactly the same as it did when I was awake. The carpet was the same dull beige. The walls carried the same faint yellow glow from the nightlight near the stairs. Everything felt quiet in the way dreams often feel quiet, like the world had been wrapped in cotton. At the end of the hallway, beneath the dim light, the man stood waiting. He didn't move. He didn't shift his weight. He didn't blink. He simply looked at me. Even as a child, I remember noticing how wrong his face felt. Not monstrous, not distorted, just subtly unnatural. His skin was pale in a way that reminded me of old photographs, slightly grey under the dim light. His forehead was high and smooth, almost too large for the rest of his face. His eyebrows were thin and dark, framing eyes that seemed too calm for a dream. Those eyes were the worst part. They weren't angry. They weren't threatening. They were patient. His lips were narrow and colourless, pressed together in a quiet expression that never changed. And the strangest detail of all, he was perfectly still. Not the stillness of someone standing quietly, the stillness of something that did not need to move. When I tried to walk toward my bedroom door, I realized my feet wouldn't move. My body refused to obey me. The man watched. Then he spoke. His voice was calm, soft, almost gentle. "I'm waiting for you." That was all. Then I woke up. For years, that was the pattern. The dream would come back every few months. Sometimes years passed without it, but the man always returned. Always the same hallway, or sometimes different places that looked strangely familiar. A school corridor, an empty street, the living room of my childhood home. But he was always there, standing at a distance, watching, waiting, and every time he spoke, he said the same thing. "I'm waiting for you." When I was younger, I thought the dreams meant something symbolic. Children often think dreams are messages, warnings, secrets. But over time I stopped caring. Life grew larger. School, work, friends, relationships. Dreams became less important than waking hours. The man faded into the background of my mind. Just a strange childhood memory. Something my brain had invented long ago. Something harmless, something distant, until 3 months ago. That was the first time I saw him while I was awake. It happened in my bathroom. I remember it clearly because it was such an ordinary moment. I had just come home from work. The apartment was quiet. The bathroom light buzzed faintly above the mirror as I brushed my teeth. When I leaned closer to spit into the sink, I noticed movement behind me. Not in the room, in the mirror. A shadow that didn't belong. When I looked up, he was standing directly behind me. The same man. The same pale face. The same stillness. He looked exactly the same as he had when I was 8 years old, which meant something impossible. He hadn't aged, but I had. I turned around immediately. The bathroom was empty. I convinced myself it was stress. The brain misfires sometimes. Reflections distort things. Light bends. Memory fills in details that were never there. But the reflections continued. A week later, I saw him in the dark glass of the microwave door. Another time in the reflection of a shop window while I was walking home. Each time, he appeared exactly the same, standing behind me, watching, always silent, always gone the moment I turned around. The dread didn't come all at once. It built slowly, like water rising in a room. At first it was curiosity, then unease, then something deeper, something harder to name. Because the man wasn't threatening me, he wasn't chasing me, he wasn't even moving, he was just waiting. The first time he spoke while I was awake was in the elevator at work. The metal doors reflected the hallway behind me. When the doors slid shut, the reflection sharpened, and there he was, standing directly behind me, so close that if I had taken a single step back, I would have touched him. His lips moved. "I'm waiting for you." After that, the reflections became more frequent. Mirrors, glass doors, television screens, dark windows at night. I began avoiding reflective surfaces entirely. But reflections exist everywhere. Everywhere. Polished metal, shiny floors, even the faint reflection in someone's glasses. And every time I saw him, something inside me tightened, because his expression never changed. He looked calm, relieved even, like someone who had been patient for a very long time. Sleep became impossible because the dreams returned. But now the dreams were different. In the dreams there were mirrors everywhere, walls covered in them, endless reflections stretching into darkness, and in every reflection he stood behind me, watching, waiting. I asked him a question once. In the dream, I turned toward him and asked the only thing that mattered. "What are you waiting for?" For the first time in my life, he smiled. It was a small smile, barely noticeable, but it changed everything because his eyes didn't smile, only his mouth. "I'm waiting for you." The episodes grew worse. Soon I began seeing him several times a day, in every reflection, every surface, sometimes just for a second, sometimes longer. And every time I saw him, I felt something slipping, like a thread slowly unraveling inside my mind. The day everything broke was the day I saw him in my own eyes. I was staring into the bathroom mirror again. My face looked pale, exhausted, unfamiliar, and behind my reflection, he was there. But when I turned around, he was still in the mirror, which meant he was no longer behind me. He was inside the reflection, standing exactly where my reflection should be, watching me the way I had been watching him for decades. That was when the panic began, because the realization arrived all at once. He wasn't following me. He had never been following me. He had been waiting for something inside me to break, waiting for the moment when my mind finally stopped rejecting him, waiting for the moment when I could see him everywhere. Now I do. Every reflective surface shows him, every window, every mirror, every dark screen, every drop of water. He is always there, standing calmly behind me, watching, patient, relieved. They brought me to the hospital after I tried to smash every mirror in my apartment. The doctors call it a psychotic episode, severe hallucinations triggered by sleep deprivation and anxiety. They removed everything reflective from my room. No mirrors, no glass, no polished metal. Even the sink faucet is covered. They say it's for my recovery. But they don't understand the worst part. The part I haven't told them. The thing that keeps me awake. Because I've learned something about him. Something terrible. He only appears when I blink. every time my eyes close, even for a fraction of a second. I see him standing directly in front of me, closer than before, closer every time, watching me with that same quiet patience. So now I try not to blink, not ever. My eyes burn constantly. The doctors think it's anxiety. They think I'm afraid of sleep. But the truth is simpler. If I blink, even once, I know I'll see him again. And every time I see him, he looks a little happier, a little closer, a little less patient, because he waited my entire life for this. For the moment, my mind finally broke enough to see him everywhere. And now he doesn't have to wait anymore.